Town of Southampton Conservation Board. In accordance with the Town Board's adoption of local law 2022, the board's meetings are being held both in person at Town Hall and via video conference through Zoom webinar. The link to participate in this meeting via video conference can be found on the town's website at the Town Clerk's Agendas and Meetings portal. You can also watch the live stream video and submit written comments for the public record through the town website. If you are attending via Zoom and wish to speak during this meeting, then please click the raise hand icon. As a reminder to all applicants, agents, and members of the public who wish to speak at the meeting, please state your name and hamlet of residence for the record. Thank you. I'd invite everyone to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What is your pleasure on the minutes of July 24th, 2024?
Motion to accept as written or as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearings A 022054, Paul Basic and Lisa Gallo. The applicant requests adjournment to August 28th, 2024. There is no one in the public to speak. Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to raise their hand?
They're up to double-digit adjournments. What's going on? 10 adjournments. Please do.
Marty Shea, Chief Environmental Analyst for the town. They're in the process. I have been in touch with their agent over the past week, and they're in the process of finalizing the survey and revegetation plan. They do anticipate that they'll get that to me with sufficient time prior to the next meeting in order to provide feedback. So I do anticipate that they'll be ready to proceed at the next meeting.
Is there a
Motion to postpone.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 022093, Andrea Lusso and Maria Stoyanova.
Marty Shea, Chief Environmental Analyst for the town. As the board knows, this is a pending application which seeks a wetland permit from this board in order to construct a swimming pool. The agent for the applicant has indicated that the landowners have been unreachable for some time. We also have tried to contact the landowners to no avail. I advised the applicant's agent that I would have to recommend that the hearing be closed tonight, and would also recommend that the application be denied. When the applicant is ready to proceed, they can refile a new application with this board. So the applicant's agent was amenable to that. So I'm recommending that the hearing be closed tonight.
Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to speak?
Motion to close the public hearing. Do we have to add anything to that? Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Advisory reports for the Noyak Northview LLC.
This is a pending subdivision application for a large forested tract in the hamlet of Noyak. There are several recommended advisory comments. First is that, based upon a field assessment completed on August 7, 2024, the subject tract is marked by exemplary chestnut oak forest, having great value in terms of regional biodiversity and groundwater recharge. Second, intact forest blocks of this size are important wildlife areas, especially for forest interior bird species, such as hairy woodpecker, white-breasted nuthatch, hermit thrush, black and white warbler, American redstart, Canada warbler, black-throated green warbler, ovenbird, and scarlet tanager. These are bird species which are unlikely to persist when these forest blocks are developed and fragmented. Large tracts of forest are likewise critical to sustaining native floral populations. Thirdly, notwithstanding the significant environmental benefits that would be accrued from establishing a large open space area, the final subdivision design is generally aligned with the Conservation Board recommendations contained in the prior September 14, 2022 preliminary advisory report. Thirdly, notwithstanding fourth, the final plat needs to be revised to show the recent clearing on the west side of Northview Hills Court, and to note that such area will be utilized as part of the future home site at Lot 1, and that's being recommended in order to reduce the amount of needed additional clearing. 5, subdivision approval needs to be strictly conditioned upon pre-installation of project limiting fences concordant with the intended clearance limits, as well as upon use of siltation barriers where sloping terrain will be affected prior to the commencement of any site disturbance, and that's in order to avert undue impacts to the forest resources, as well as to ensure compliance with the requirements of Section 330-67, which is protection of natural vegetation.
But Marty, will they be required to have a NIA WTS septic?
Yes, they will.
You guess?
Or these are by county and town law. All new residences are required to be equipped with IA OWTS systems.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Motion to send those comments to the planning board.
Second?
All in favor? Opposed? Trustees of the freeholders and commonalty of the town of Southampton.
This is a pending application for bulkhead reconstruction at 38 Benita Road in the Hamlet East Quad. There are several recommended comments. First is that a field assessment of the above-referenced premises as completed by the Environment Division on Tuesday, August 13, 2024, has confirmed that the subject property is compliant with the Historic Conservation Board wetland permits, inclusive of wetland permit numbers 97-48, 97-156, and 12-71. Second, the required natural vegetation areas in the southwest part of the property, as well as along Benita Road, are yet intact. Moreover, no changes have been made to the residential structures and hardscape, which would warrant additional Conservation Board approvals. Thirdly, as the landowner has agreed to protect and maintain the existing natural vegetative cover in such areas located almost entirely landward of the area of impact, the Conservation Board has no significant objections to the proposed in-kind replacement of the existing failing bulkhead. And lastly, as being said, the existing stone beds alongside the bulkhead should be interplanted with beach grass, both provide some cover for songbirds and wildlife, as well as to offer enhanced surface water quality protection for Shinnecock Bay.
Motion to send those comments to the trustees.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Administrative wetland permits are in your packets. Resolution conditional approval. A023041, Jennifer Standing, and this is postponed to August 28th. Is there a motion?
Motion to postpone?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preliminary review ticket determination, A022082, Erlinda Bildner.
I made my position on these two applications last meeting, that if they're not ready, tell them to withdraw and come back, or give them an adjournment date in December or something. Because this is not going anywhere, and I just don't understand how they're sitting on the agenda and not going anywhere. If they're not ready, withdraw and come back when they are ready. I will not vote for another extension.
For your information with regards to the Jennifer Standing application, I did return to the property in the past week. I've had several meetings with the architect, and they should be getting a final
I'm
plan.
talking about Builder and Savadia.
Bildner, I will
We
reach
already
out
voted on standing.
to the applicant's agent because I haven't received any updates whatsoever on that. In the case of Sabatier, I am continuing to work with them on finalization of the plans, so they are most interested in going ahead when the plans are complete.
They should fill in their application after their plans are complete. They shouldn't have it sitting here doing nothing.
Okay.
Well, what do you want to do with Bildner?
Do we want to
Well-
schedule a public hearing and move it along?
No, they're not. I don't. Let me, Susanna Harmon is the applicant's agent. Let me reach out to her again to get the needed feedback and on Bildner, and Savatier will be ready to go ahead soon. So I recommend that they stay on the agenda. There's no need to schedule hearings. In the event that Bildner decides to go forward, if they're not amenable to any of the recommended project changes, we will need to schedule a hearing. It's highly unlikely that a hearing will be necessary for Sabatier.
But we don't know that because they're not complete with their applications. So we really don't
Well,
know.
I do pretty much know that with Sabatier, but I don't know that with Bildner. That's correct.
Okay.
I don't know if there's been a change in their position.
What do you want to do with Bildner, Tom?
Hmm?
What do you want to do with Bildner?
I already said. You can vote on it if you want to.
Well, I mean, do you want to postpone it to a later date? We have that option.
We can postpone it to any date. It hasn't even been reviewed yet. It's just sitting on the agenda over and over again, just taking up our time. If we're going to take up our time, I want to look at the application. I don't want to look at the adjournment to another meeting.
Just
So
so
either-
the board knows, the requisite preliminary advisory report was completed upon initial receipt of the application. They had requested postponements because they were not sure if they were amenable to the recommended changes.
Okay, but they're not changing
So
it.
I
They're not
will-
changing the plan again. They're just not sure if they want to go with staff's
I
recommendations.
will advise the applicant.
We can just schedule a public hearing then if we have an
Yeah.
application that has a plan on it.
Well, they're not dead set on going ahead with the current plan.
Well, I'm not dead set on adjourning in
So
every two
I
meetings.
will,
every 2 weeks.
I have been putting these items on the agenda at each meeting, just to keep them on the radar screen, and in the interest of encouraging the applicants to move forward. But I will contact the applicants and make them aware of the board's concerns.
Motion to postpone to August 28th.
Second?
Been moved in second, all in favor?
No. You have 4 votes?
4 votes to postpone, 1 not to postpone.
No, 3. There are only 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 to postpone.
Oh, okay. Yep. No.
And again, for the board's information, a preliminary advisory report was completed upon receipt of the Sabatier application as well. So,
It's okay, passed, I'm making a statement.
A 023022, Guillaume Savatier. Post applicant wishes to postpone to August 28th, 2024.
Motion to postpone to August 28th.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
No.
Same vote on that one as the previous one. A 023036, Adam Cusack and Catherine O'Brien.
this application relates to an existing residentially developed property in Shinnecock Hills. There is a preliminary advisory report on file dated July 25, 2024. The application has been made in order to seek this board's approval in a
God
wetland
bless you.
permit to reauthorize construction activities that had been permitted some years ago with only minor amendments made to those items that were completed. The landowner is also seeking this board's approval to construct a swimming pool on the landward side of the house at compliant wetland construction setbacks. The prior approvals were conditioned upon establishment of a naturally vegetated wetland buffer. The buffer needs to be restored. I have provided guidance to the landowner, and he's in the process of hiring a landscape architect to submit a formal plan. So this is a project that is compliant with the wetland permit issuance standards. It's just that their former approvals had expired and minor changes have been made. The applicant is amenable to all the recommendations in terms of mitigation and survey revisions. As such, we have sufficient application to waive the to make a determination and waive the hearing requirement.
Motion with public hearing.
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby waives the public hearing requirement pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-80 of the Town Code. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 023055, Tyler Eddy.
This application relates to an existing residentially developed property on Flying Point Road in the Hamlet of Watermill with frontage on Burnett's Creek. The application, as indicated by the July 26, 2024, has a history of prior permits and approvals. There's an existing residence at the property that sits on a high ground above the wetlands. The landowner has established required naturally vegetated buffers at the site. The residence and pervious patio areas are separated by stepped rock retaining walls from the wetlands. The application has been made because the board is seeking, the landowner is seeking to expand the residence. He's also seeking this board's approval to upgrade the conventional sanitary system to an IAOW TS. He has already received a separate wetland permit from me to restore portions of the shoreline that have been impacted by invasive Japanese knotweed. Plan has also been forward for significant native landscaping landward of the existing buffers. The work that's planned is generally within the existing structural and site disturbance footprint. Notwithstanding the need for some relief from the required wetland building setbacks, the separation of the residents from the creek and the wetlands by wetlands and by retaining walls, and its position on higher ground should help to minimize potential adverse wetland impacts. This is an application for which we have sufficient information, make a determination. As such, recommending that the hearing requirement be waived.
Motion to waive the public hearing.
Second.
Resolved that the Town Conservation Board hereby waives the public hearing requirement pursuant to Chapter 325, Section 325-80 of the Town Code. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A resolution of conditional approval, A 023036, Adam Kusak and Catherine O'Brien. Any discussion?
Move to issue.
Second.
Resolved that a conditional wetland permit approval be granted to Adam Kusak and Catherine O'Brien for the proposed project on the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? A 023055, Tyler Eddy. Any discussion?
Move to issue.
Second.
Resolved that a conditional wetland permit approval be granted to Tyler Eddy for the proposed project on the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution issue wetland permit modifications, CB 17043, Michael Federico and Rosa Federico.
This application relates to a residentially developed property with frontage on Cold Spring Pond Inlet. The property is bulkheaded as indicated by the draft resolution of conditional approval. The property has some history before this board in that various residential additions and improvements had been permitted, conditioned upon establishment of an extensive naturally vegetated buffer, which is in the process of being restored and planted with native vegetation. This modification application has been put forward because rather than proceed with the remaining additions that had been authorized by this board, the applicant is now looking to build a new home, essentially in the same footprint. That again will be well buffered from the bulkheaded waterfront. So the applicant is integrating all of the wetland impact mitigation requirements of prior approvals. In light of that, and because of the bulkheaded condition of the property, I'm recommending that the board modify the existing wetlands permit in order to allow the new landowners to proceed with the residential redevelopment plans.
Motion issue the modification.
Resolved that a wetlands permit modification be issued to Michael Federico and Rosa Federico for the proposed project with the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? CB 20013, MIR Noyak Realty, Inc. Any discussion?
Move to issue.
Second.
Resolved that a conditional permit modification, resolved that a wetlands permit modification be issued to MIR Noyak Realty for the LLC for the proposed project with terms and conditions set forth herein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? CB 20035, Sweet Briar Realty LLC.
This application relates to a property on Sweet Briar Road in the hamlet of Shinnecock Hills that has frontage on Far Pond and Shinnecock Bay, that has been in the midst of residential redevelopment for some time pursuant to prior permits and approvals granted by this board. When they proceeded with construction, they were faced with some challenges because of the somewhat difficult terrain. They saw a need to construct partial rock walls landward of the covenanted buffer in order to stabilize the higher ground and support the new residence and pool area. The pre-existing tennis court, as permitted by this board, was being used for the purposes of storing stockpiled soil from excavation, as well as a construction staging area. The tennis court got significantly damaged, so they're seeking a modified permit to reconstruct that tennis court in the same footprint. There was some disturbance within the covenanted buffer that has been revegetated with native plants. There were some other minor changes that were made to mostly hardscape and utilities on the property and access ways that need to be legalized as well. That being said, as the applicant has addressed all of my concerns and has completed the needed remedial measures, the issuance of a modified permit is unlikely to result in new or significant additional adverse wetland impacts. As such, this is a resolution to approve the requested modified wetland permit so that the project can finally be completed and a certificate of wetland compliance application can be filed in order to close out the wetland permit and file for a CO with the building division.
Transportation modification.
Second.
Resolved that a wetlands permit modification be issued to Sweet Briar Realty LLC for the proposed project on terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? CB 20039, Diane Ardolino.
Diane Ardolino had received permits from this board in order to build a single-family residence on vacant, naturally vegetated land adjacent to tidal wetlands, as well as a secondary permit to make some minor necessary improvements to the existing unpaved private road. The construction of what was initially approved as a one-story dwelling has been completed. However, there was a minor northwesterly addition that was built, and the landowner had elected to build a second story, not knowing that they needed to come back to this board. The second story is generally within the same footprint that was initially approved by this board. All other aspects of this project are in compliance with the original permit. So this is a resolution to legalize the minor expansion of the home in the second story addition so they can close out the wetland permit and file for a CO.
Motion to issue the modification.
Second.
Resolved that a wetland modification permit be granted to Diane Ardolino for the proposed project on terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution to issue modified conditional approval, 379 Jobs LLC.
This is a property in Bridgehampton that had received a conditional approval in order to go forward with various modifications and changes to the existing residence and accessory structures, conditioned upon the establishment of a covenanted wetland preservation area, naturally vegetated buffer. Revised surveys were, as required, were received, as well as an excellent native revegetation plan. However, as the applicant is in the midst of construction right now, they are looking to make some minor changes to the front entry area that will actually enhance the environmental compatibility of the residents by creating a partial grass and paver drive, by scaling back some of the initial construction to allow for planting of more native landscape. They also had found that the decks were failing and needed to be reconstructed. The one larger deck is being rebuilt within the same footprint, whereas the other deck has been scaled back in order to allow for additional planting beds. And then there's a third minor deck that's being built within, essentially within the footprint of the residence. So there is no aspect of these changes that would result in new or significant adverse wetland impacts. As such, this is a resolution to modify the existing conditional approval so that the requisite wetland permit can be issued and the applicant can fully proceed with the project.
Motion to issue a modified conditional approval.
Resolved that a modified conditional approval be granted to 379 Jobs LLC for the proposed project for the terms and conditions set forth therein. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Advisory reports for the planning board. 77 Turtle Cove Drive.
This is a final plat of a two-lot subdivision for a partially forested property in the Turtle Cove area. There are several recommended comments. First is that the Conservation Board does not support the final subdivision map of Turtle Cove 77 as depicted on the survey prepared by Stephen Borilski, dated August 25, 2022, with a latest revision date of May 16, 2024, as the plans call for clearing and removal of the entirety of the existing native woods, inclusive of mature trees and understory vegetation, and as such runs counter to the recommendations of the board's August 9, 2023 preliminary advisory report. Second, as a consequence, community character will be adversely affected, and the thermal cooling, carbon sequestration, air and water purification, wildlife benefits of this remnant forest block within this heavily developed residential neighborhood will be forever lost. Lastly, the subdivision design also conflicts with Section 292-2, which is subdivision of land, purpose and policy, which mandates that approval of such subdivisions consider preservation and protection of such natural resources and assets as flora, fauna, and general scenic beauty.
Motion to send those comments to the planning board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all.